Hello, Valerie Ihsan, author, business strategist here. Today I'm going to go through 4 steps that will get you from paralyzed and overwhelmed and panicked to focused and confident and successful. So the first step is to do a master list. This is a brain dump. This is, I've got so much in my head, I can't think of anything else list. So once you've written all of those things down, you might find that you have themes or categories, or maybe you'll see some patterns emerge in the things that you've written down on your list. So writing this master list is good for 2 reasons. One, finding those patterns. Maybe you'll see that 18 of them have to do with starting a new series. So that could really clue you in on maybe what your next step would be in your life. Or maybe you'll see that 4 of them have to do with audiobook recordings. So it's interesting. Maybe you'll see some patterns that you hadn't recognized before. And the most important reason why you want to do this step is because somebody else is going to be holding all of these things in your brain. You're going to be able to clear up space and bandwidth and just brain acuity so that you can do your important work and get space and distance so that you can do those things that are more important to you. So, step 1, brain dump list. Get it all out there. The second list then is to put this list in some semblance of order that makes sense to you. I like to think of when I'm interested in doing this task. Maybe it's not for a few months. Maybe it's really super important and I have to do it first thing. Or maybe I can push it off to a couple years from now. Maybe it's just something I would like to do someday. And sometimes it's also a good way to categorize your list is to put it in terms of how long something will take you. Like sometimes I make little mini lists within the big list of 3 months. These things on the 3-month list, or these are the things on the 6-month list. So put your master list in some order that makes sense to you, whether it's how long it'll take you to do something or when you want to do it. For instance, I'm really interested in doing audiobook recording for my books, but I have a lot of other things that I'm really passionate about right now that I want to accomplish before I start working on that. So I've slated audiobook production for 2021. It seems a long ways away, but the cool thing about this step 2 is that if you can put it aside for a different time, you've automatically freed up space then in your schedule and in your brain to work on other things. So step 1, make that master list. Step 2, put it in some sort of order that makes sense to you. And then step 3, what you're going to do is pick one thing off of that list that you're going to focus on for this whole month or until it gets done. It's totally okay if the thing that you're picking is write the rough draft of my novel. That might not get done in 1 month, but you can focus on writing your novel in that whole month. And then next month, you can choose that same task and pick that one thing to work on for that whole month. So don't feel limited in what thing you can pick because you only have a month to do it. So pick one thing from your list and you're going to focus on it for the whole month. And the other thing that you need to do, this is sort of part B of this step, is to make it broken down into tiny little action steps, tiny steps. For instance, often, every year this happens, I want to do my taxes differently. I want to do them more efficiently. I want to get them done quicker. And I have a hard time getting it done and not procrastinating unless I break it down into really, really tiny steps. So instead of file taxes or collect income data or something like that, what I end up doing is breaking it down into a tiny step that I can do within like 15 minutes, and then I can cross it off. So under that file taxes umbrella might be print out bank statements for the first quarter. I can do that in 15 minutes. So that's something I can cross off. And then I see forward momentum and I get confident and inspired to do another tiny little step. And then it just gets me closer and closer to my goals. So step 3 is to pick one thing to focus on for the month and break it down into tiny little actionable steps. Step 4, the final step in this process, the one that's going to get you from overwhelmed to confident and from anxious to successful, is to take that list of those tiny actionable steps and do one thing this week. I hope that these 4 steps were useful to you. I hope this video gave you something to think about and an activity to try that will get you closer to your own success. If you would like to hear more tips and solutions and steps and suggestions, you can find me on my podcast, The Indie Author Mentor Show. We're on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, all the places that you listen to podcasts. One final bonus tip is a tool that I use, and I thought I'd share it with you too. So when I do these 4 steps over and over again every month, every year, I use a tool called the Passion Roadmap. And it's inside a planner called the Passion Planner. And I've used the same planner for 6 years, I think now. I really like it. So if you want to try the Passion Planner yourself, in the description box of this video, there is a link for a discount. It's a 10% discount to try out the Passion Planner if you want to. Otherwise, I'll see you in the podcast.